You're 16, washing a small Cessna at sunrise with Dawn dish soap and a garden hose. You get a few dollars a plane. 30 years from now, a company that fixes aircraft will sell for $131 million, and the person who signs that deal is standing right here holding the hose. Boeing's 20-year forecast says the world will need around 710,000 new aviation technicians, and right now there aren't nearly enough qualified people to fill the gap. The pilots here call their weekend trips the $100 hamburger, a sandwich in the next town that costs a full tank of avgas to go get. You don't fly. You clean the machines that do. Today, a pilot runs a finger down a row of rivets you scrubbed, gives one nod, and hires you to wash the next plane too. This is your life as an aircraft mechanic in America, every level of the climb, and what it actually costs. If you like seeing how real careers get built, like this video and subscribe to Levels Deep. A new one every week. You aren't really an employee. You're a kid the airport lets hang around, paid in pocket money and proximity. Your kid is simple: a hose, a bottle of soap, a push broom, a pile of rags, and a step stool someone lets you borrow. Washing a plane has a strict order, and the order matters. First, you chalk the wheels and check the tie-downs. You learn to mask the pitot tube and the static ports with tape, because water in either one makes the instruments lie. You wet the aircraft from the top down. You scrub the belly where exhaust soot cakes on, pushing until your shoulder burns. Then the rivets, every protruding head by hand, row after row. You rinse, squeegee the windscreen with the chamois, and step back to look at the shine. One Saturday, you forget the tape on the pitot tube. The owner notices. He walks you back to the nose and stands there quietly while you dry the whole line out. You never make that mistake again. The airfield has its own language, and nobody slows down to explain it. A FOD walk is pacing the concrete for loose bolts, screws, or gravel before a propeller turns them into bullets. Hangar rash is the dent a wingtip picks up when someone's careless moving a plane. The place smells like 100 low lead and cut grass. Mostly, it's quiet. You sweep the hangar, and in exchange, you get to be around the airplanes. Your broom echoes off the steel walls. You scrub a Cessna's belly until the soot stripe is gone. The owner checks it with a flashlight, finds nothing, and hires you to do his partner's plane too. A few dollars a plane. You do it for free, and everyone on the field knows it. You start showing up before the pilots. One morning, a pilot flying for the EAA, Young Eagles program, waves you over and points at the empty right seat. You spend 20 minutes over the county. After you land, he pulls the cowling so you can see the engine that just carried you, and you ask him about every part under it until the sun goes down. Most kids who hang around the airport drift off by spring. You're still here. Across the ramp, the fuel truck needs help, and that job pays in dollars, not airplane rides. You're 18, badged now, and the gate clicks open for you. You start around $18 an hour. The fuel truck is yours to run, and the tow tug is yours not to crash. You marshal aircraft in with orange wands, hook up the tow bar, and learn how much momentum a parked jet carries. Your first week, you swing a tow too close to the hangar door. The crew chief stops you with a raised fist, walks the wingtip himself to check clearance, and never mentions it again. You sump the fuel tanks before the first flights, draining a sample, holding it to the light, looking for water or sediment. One morning, the sample comes up cloudy. The flight gets canceled, the tank's drained, and word goes around that the new kid on the fuel truck just caught a problem before it became an engine failure. Jet A soaks into your gloves and stays there. At 5 in the morning, the metal tow bar is cold through the gloves anyway. A charter crew thanks you by name as they board. Out here, names are currency. At night, you're in airframe and power plant school, learning to do every task exactly the way the book says, because on the field, the book is the law. Safety wiring 2 bolts is an 8-step job with no room for error. You torque both to spec off the chart, never from memory, route the stainless wire through the first bolt head, twist it toward the second in the tightening direction, even twist the whole way, loop the second head, make a small pigtail, and bend it flat so it can't snag a glove. The first time, you twist it the loosening way. Your instructor cuts it off with duckbill pliers and slides the spool back without a word. Your second try passes. So does your third. Even twists every time. You're 22, holding a fresh airframe and power plant certificate, working overnights for a regional carrier. A carrier like PSA Airlines starts new mechanics around $31.86 an hour. The jets come in at sunset, the passengers get off, and until dawn the airplanes are yours, lit by floodlights, your headlamp, and a stack of write-ups from the inbound crews. A position light is out on one. A main tire on another is worn to the cord. A gear strut sits low and needs a nitrogen charge. Every repair ends the same way, an entry in the logbook with your signature under it. Return to service, and the law treats those 3 words as a certification tied to your name. A mechanic named Dustin Allen, who came up through a commuter airlines apprentice program, put it simply: he always learned better with his hands than in a classroom. On the line, that's true for everyone. Saturdays, you still work the general aviation shop across the field. The small planes taught you first. Today, it's an oil change on a Cessna, and the procedure is the whole point. You warm the engine, shut it down, open the cowling, drain the oil hot so the suspended particles come out with it, spin off the filter, and put it in a cutter, because before you install the new one, you have to read the old one. The filter pleats tell a story the engine can't. Today they're glittering, fine, bright flecks of metal all through the element. You wipe a pleat with a clean rag and it sparkles back. The owner is in the doorway with his headset bag, planning to be at the lake house in an hour. You tell him the airplane is grounded. He scoffs and asks for a second opinion, so you hand him the cut-open filter. That ends it. You make the logbook entry that stops a flight instead of releasing one, and the signature feels heavier. That Monday, a borescope down the cylinder confirms it. The engine was eating itself from the inside. Later, the owner finds you in the parking lot and shakes your hand. He doesn't say much. He doesn't have to. Back on the airline line that week, you try to gap and torque a set of spark plugs from memory instead of the chart. Your lead catches it and has you pull every plug and start over with the manual open. After that, a folded torque chart lives in your back pocket. Your signature stops taking 2 tries. Hot oil, the click of a calibrated torque wrench, a ratchet echoing in a quiet hangar. That's the rhythm now. Some nights a jet goes AOG, aircraft on ground, and the whole shop bends toward getting that one plane airworthy by morning. The job isn't about being clever. It's about being correct, being documented, and being the person willing to say no. 5 years of nights like these buy your way into the big hangars. You're 30, and the aircraft in your dock is a Boeing 737 stripped to the frame. This is heavy maintenance, the scheduled C-check, where an airliner gets taken apart and put back together by a manual the size of a closet. A tech named Max Comer, who does these checks on 737s, 777s, and 787s, describes it plainly. You take the airplane apart and put it back together. He once repaired a cargo door on the same jet his wife and kid were booked to fly that afternoon. Your pay finally looks like a career. The national median for an aircraft mechanic is around $78,680, and with your experience, you clear more. The work is like surgery on a skyscraper. Flight controls come off and go back on, cables rigged to tensions the manual specifies to the pound. You run a borescope into the hot section of a turbine and read the blades the way a radiologist reads an X-ray. Down the dock, a rivet gun chatters all shift. The snap-on box you started with has grown a second bay, and Pratt & Whitney tooling now checks out under your badge number. Skydraw, the hydraulic fluid in these jets, stings bare skin, so the gloves stay on. An airworthiness directive comes out for a tail number you're working. Compliance is a sequence, not a suggestion. Confirm it applies to your serial number, pull the service bulletin, do the inspection, document the method, the date, and when it's due again. The inspector signs off your paperwork on the first pass. Your lead starts handing you the complicated jobs nobody wants to write up. Then, during a routine look at one panel out of hundreds, your flashlight catches a faint hairline shadow where there shouldn't be one. You report it. The area gets dye checked and the crack is real. The finding sheet has your name on it. That airplane would have flown. It didn't because you're paid to be suspicious. You start reading service bulletins on your lunch break. You earn your inspection authorization, the IA. The rule that governs your career now is 14 CFR 65.91. 3 years holding both A and P ratings, proof you've been active in maintenance, a fixed base of operations, current technical data, and one more hard-written test. The IA is the line between fixing airplanes and being the final authority who returns them to the sky. You hang the certificate in a leased hangar with your name on the door, next to a repair station binder thick as a phone book. Annual inspections become the business. You run the full flow from FAR 43, Appendix D, every panel open, every system checked. A customer pays around $1,700 for the annual. The engine overhaul you find he needs will run $20,000 to $40,000. He isn't buying your hours. He's buying your judgment, stamped with your IA. The flow never bends. Review the logs and directive status, pull the panels and cowlings, inspect nose to tail, fuselage, cabin, engine and nacelle, gear, wings, empennage, prop, radios. Compression check the cylinders. List the discrepancies, fix or defer each one, run an operational check, close it up, sign it back into service. Then comes an annual where a cylinder fails compression and the customer refuses to pay for the fix. He says any other mechanic would just sign it off. You won't. He leaves angry, keys jangling. In March, he's back, the cylinder repaired by another shop, a check in his hand, and he never argues your discrepancy list again. The stamp lands on the logbook with a solid thud. That sound is your livelihood now. You hire your first mechanic, then your third. You start signing the paychecks you used to cash. You're in your 50s, and the people calling don't want your hours. They want the whole company. In this corner of the industry, the deals are often public. In January 2021, Gamma Aviation bought a maintenance company called Jet East for up to $11.9 million. By the fall of 2023, Westar Aviation agreed to buy that same business for about $131 million, cash, free of debt, and the seller walked with roughly $100 million net. The CEO who closed it called it an exciting new chapter. What got bought wasn't a toolbox or a hangar. It was a set of capabilities, an AOG network that answers the phone at 2 a.m., customers who don't shop around on price, and paperwork so clean the buyer's lawyers couldn't find a fault. Your shop is smaller, but the arithmetic is the same. Due diligence is an annual inspection where you're the airplane. Advisors open every panel of the business, the books, the certificates, the training records, the directive compliance logs. An analyst flags an engine record from years back. You produce the original yellow tag and the work order in under a minute. The room exhales and moves on. 30 years of doing it by the book means every log is clean and the offer holds. You're at a polished conference table instead of on a creeper. The quiet in the room is the same quiet as an empty hangar after closing. The last document slides across. You sign your name the way you've signed every logbook entry since you got your certificate. Only this signature lets you go. For the first time in decades, your hands stay clean a whole week and nothing breaks. The money is real. So is the part no one can price. Your people stay, your name stays on the building, and the shop keeps putting airplanes back in the sky. The wire clears on a Tuesday. Here's the truth the career ladder hides. At every level, the thing of value was never the wrench, it was the signature. The legal fact that one person inspected the work, followed the rules, and put their name on the outcome. The kid with the hose wasn't buying skills. He was buying proximity to the people allowed to sign. The line tech pumping fuel was learning whose word the field trusted. The customer who paid $1,700 wasn't paying for labor. He was paying for the one signature that made his airplane legal to fly. 30 years from the bottom to the top, and the core asset never changed size. One name, written clearly. There's a cost off the books too. A knee that aches on cold ramp mornings, and the long line of Saturdays under cowlings instead of anywhere else. You'd sigh for all of it again. Those Saturdays bought this building. You still get to the field early now, more habit than duty. There's a teenager at the wash rack with a garden hose and a bottle of Dawn, working the rivet lines on a Cessna the slow, proper way. Nobody's told him to mask the pedo tube first. Someone will. A pilot flies in for the $100 hamburger, checks the kid's work, and hires him to wash the next one too. The kid asks what's under the cowling. You walk over, open it up, and watch the rest from the office window. The one that still has your name on it because the buyers kept it. The ladder keeps going. You're just higher on it now, holding it steady for the next one. What looked impossible from a wobbly step stool is routine from up here. The trade still needs more hands than it can find. The price of entry is the same: a hose, a broom, and the discipline to show up before the pilots. The field is quiet this early. A garden hose hangs coiled on a hook by the hangar door, the same kind you started with, in a hangar you own now. You take it down, walk to the airplane in Bay 1, yours, paid for, ready to fly, and you start washing it the slow way, rivet by rivet. If this was worth your time, like it and subscribe to Levels Deep. We break down how real careers actually get built, one every week.